Have you ever had the feeling that something in your life feels just a little off? Maybe you're absolutely certain you left your keys on the table, only to find them in a completely different spot. Or perhaps a conversation with a friend plays out almost exactly as you remember, but with small, unexplainable differences. These moments can feel like glitches in reality, tiny ripples that don't quite make sense. What if these experiences weren't just forgetfulness or coincidence? What if you've actually shifted into a parallel reality without even realizing it? It might sound like science fiction, but subtle changes in your surroundings, your memories, and even your emotions could be clues that you've transitioned into a slightly different version of your world. Quantum physics suggests that multiple versions of reality exist simultaneously, shaped by probabilities and consciousness. If reality is fluid, then small shifts between parallel timelines could be happening all the time so subtly that we barely notice. In this message, we'll explore the key signs that you may have unknowingly stepped into a different reality, giving you the awareness to recognize and even harness these shifts to shape your own path forward. Reality, as we often experience it, can appear linear and predictable. We tend to believe we are progressing along a single thread of existence, bound by unchanging laws and circumstances. Yet, when we look beneath the surface through the lens of quantum theory, a far more vibrant picture emerges, a quantum canvas of possibilities. This canvas is anything but static. Rather, it is a constantly shifting tapestry woven from probabilities, wherein each new thought, decision, or occurrence has the potential to give rise to an alternate version or thread of reality. From a quantum perspective, the concept of a probabilistic universe challenges our conventional ideas about a rigid, singular timeline. Instead of one set pathway, there exists a spectrum of potential outcomes for each moment. Every time we think, choose, or even shift our emotions, we subtly influence which probability wave collapses into our experience. It is akin to standing at a branching network of roads, each turn leading to a distinct destination, except that these roads exist all at once, waiting for us to take a step and determine which path becomes real for us. This multiplicity of outcomes becomes even more fascinating when we consider that our conscious observation plays a crucial role in how these probabilities manifest. Imagine each moment as a paintbrush gently touching a canvas. The strokes are already there in invisible ink, myriad options, waiting to take on color. Our awareness, or the focus we lend to certain possibilities, effectively colors in one stroke over another. Suddenly, what might have been just a faint outline bursts into a vibrant reality, while other potential strokes remain hidden in the background. In this way, consciousness acts as the weaver, stitching together discrete frames of possibility to form what feels like a single, seamless narrative. If we were to zoom out and see the vast field of potential events, we might realize just how many threads exist simultaneously. But our day-to-day life, with its routines and habits, gives us the comforting illusion that there is only one storyline. We watch it unfold without always acknowledging that a multitude of parallel outcomes exists just beyond our immediate perception. This insight can be empowering because it highlights how pivotal our internal state is in shaping external events. Our thoughts, intentions, and emotions serve as navigational tools through the quantum field. By consciously choosing to focus on a desired outcome, by imagining it, feeling the emotions associated with it, and acting in alignment with it, we strengthen the probability that this particular thread will become our lived reality. We don't control every single event, but we can certainly guide the direction of our experience. Life is an artistic process where each instant is a fresh opportunity to select which probabilities come forward as part of our story. The quantum canvas, then, is not something to be feared for its complexity, but to be appreciated for its infinite richness. By recognizing that countless threads lie ready to be woven, we reclaim our creative power. We see that reality itself is a grand, ever-evolving masterpiece, one we help paint with each choice we make. Everyday life often feels structured and predictable, yet there are moments when something seems to slip out of alignment. You might find your keys in a place you swear you never put them, or sense a subtle change in the atmosphere of your home or workplace. These instances, which some brush off as coincidences or lapses in memory, may actually hint at minor reality shifts, brief glimpses of movement between parallel timelines. While such phenomena can be unsettling at first, paying attention to these everyday anomalies can enrich your understanding of how fluid and flexible reality might truly be. A common indicator is the experience of objects turning up in the wrong location. Many of us have had the frustration of searching for something, say, your keys, only to find them sitting in plain sight in a spot you're certain you already checked. Could it be that the keys really weren't there a moment before? These strange occurrences might represent micro-transitions, the slipping of one version of reality into another, where an object's placement differs slightly. Even if the shift itself is imperceptible, the resulting inconsistencies stand out like small rips in the fabric of day-to-day continuity. Another well-known signpost is déjà vu, the jarring sense of having lived a particular moment before. Typically, déjà vu feels like reliving something familiar, but if you pay close attention, there's often a subtle difference. Maybe the conversation flows in a slightly altered sequence, or an object you recall seeing is nowhere in sight. This incongruity points to more than just a weird brain glitch. It can be interpreted as your mind syncing with a version of the present that is almost but not exactly the same as one you've previously encountered. It's as if, for a fleeting instant, you are aware of another timeline, catching yourself in the act of shifting between parallel realities. Beyond the more obvious signs, there's a subtler, yet equally powerful, indicator: shifts in your energy or emotions. Perhaps you wake up one morning with an inexplicable sense of clarity or renewed optimism, even though nothing tangible in your life has changed. Or maybe you find yourself stepping into a room and suddenly feeling an unshakable heaviness that wasn't there moments before. These abrupt emotional or energetic fluctuations can be interpreted as alignment with the newly adopted reality tracker frequency that feels distinct because it resonates with a slightly altered version of yourself. In such moments, your internal state adjusts to match the new conditions, creating sensations that range from uplifting to disorienting. The key to recognizing these subtle signs is cultivating awareness. Try not to dismiss strange occurrences outright, but rather pause to reflect on them. Keep a journal of odd happenings, whether it's a misplaced item, a moment of déjà vu, or an unexplained surge in motivation. Over time, you may notice patterns that suggest more is at play than simple coincidence. By honoring these signals, you open yourself to the possibility that life is not as rigid as it seems. Each small ripple in your routine could be a stepping stone to a broader understanding of how layered and multidimensional your reality truly is. Memories are not as static or reliable as we often believe. Each time you recall an event, a childhood birthday party, a conversation with a loved one, or even a historical moment, you unwittingly become an editor of your own past. Rather than pulling up an unaltered file from your mental archives, the brain reconstructs the memory, weaving in bits of current emotion, context, and understanding. This process, known as memory reconsolidation, means that every act of remembering subtly reshapes the original storyline. Over multiple recalls, details can drift, merge, or even vanish altogether, creating an evolving narrative rather than a frozen snapshot of reality. This fluidity of memory can be understood in terms of shifting timelines. Each version of an event you recall may be slightly different from the last, reflecting the influence of your present state of consciousness. It's as though your mind is constantly updating past experiences to be consistent with who you are now. From the perspective of parallel realities, these mental edits may serve as a clue that you have moved into a new version of yourself. The revised memory is your mind's way of retrofitting old experiences so they align more cohesively with the reality you currently inhabit. If you accept the idea that every decision or emotional shift nudges you into a new timeline, then it makes sense that your memories adapt to suit the timeline's internal logic. A compelling phenomenon supporting this idea is the so-called Mandela effect. named after the collective misremembering of Nelson Mandela's death. Large groups of people recall him passing away in prison in the 1980s, even though historical records and the majority of individuals remember him living until 2013. This discrepancy cannot be fully explained by simple rumor or misinformation. It highlights how masses of people can share a memory that stands at odds with the official record. One interpretation is that these false memories stem from the same reconstructive process happening on a collective scale, potentially pointing to multiple overlapping timelines. In other words, the Mandela effect may indicate that entire groups can shift or blend with alternative versions of reality, carrying with them memories from a timeline that diverges from what the world now records as history. None of this suggests memory is untrustworthy or useless. Rather, it underscores the remarkable adaptability of our brains. Memory morphing can serve a protective function, helping us cope with traumatic events or painful regrets. By editing certain details, softening harsh edges, or filling gaps in happier shades, our minds attempt to create a cohesive life story that supports emotional well-being. When seen through a quantum lens, these edits may also be a sign of our personal evolution as we navigate multiple streams of reality. Recognizing that memory is malleable offers an opportunity to be more compassionate toward both ourselves and others. We come to see that what we call the past is always subject to the filters of the present, and that in a universe teeming with parallel possibilities, our recollections might be as fluid as reality itself. Have you ever had a close call, an accident, or mishap that almost happened but at the last moment didn't? Maybe you saw your coffee mug teeter on the edge of the table, certain it would smash on the floor, only for it to settle safely on a surface it shouldn't logically have landed on. Or perhaps you were involved in a near collision on the road, bracing for impact that simply never came. These skipped scenes can feel like reality took a sudden detour, sparing you from a calamity that seemed inevitable. Such moments are not only astonishing, they also hint that the fabric of our everyday world might be more flexible than we typically assume. One aspect of these reality hiccups is the peculiar experience of suspended time. In tense circumstances, say when your car hydroplanes on a wet road, everything can slow down dramatically. You have time to think about your reaction, notice the scenery in minute detail, and feel your heart pound. Then, just as suddenly, the clock resumes its usual pace and you find yourself safe, albeit rattled. Psychologically, we might attribute this to adrenaline and heightened awareness. But another perspective posits that these time distortions reflect a rapid shift to a more favorable timeline. In such a state of hyperfocus, your consciousness could be, in effect, opting out of one probable reality, the one where an accident occurs, and selecting another line of events where you emerge unscathed. The notion of quantum lifelines builds on this idea. According to certain interpretations of quantum physics, every potential outcome exists in some probabilistic state, waiting to be actualized by an observer's consciousness. Typically, we move through our day unaware of these branching pathways. Yet, in moments of crisis, our awareness might spike, creating a stronger potential for flipping channels and landing in a version of reality where catastrophe is narrowly avoided. Of course, from a purely rational viewpoint, this could be dismissed as luck, skill, or a fluke of physics. However, those who have lived through particularly uncanny near misses often describe them in terms that transcend mere coincidence, as if they skipped over an entire scene in life's script. Recognizing these breaks in continuity can profoundly alter your understanding of how life unfolds. It suggests that you're not merely a passenger on a single unchangeable track. Instead, you may have the capacity, albeit often unconsciously, to veer off one trajectory and onto a more benevolent one. By examining your own experiences with near misses, you can start to see subtle patterns, a feeling of heightened awareness, a sense that time behaves oddly, or an inexplicable ease that prevents disaster. Each instance can serve as evidence that reality is fluid, shaped at least in part by your attention and emotional state. If you can navigate to a safer, better outcome in moments of crisis, then what else might be possible in the calmer intervals of everyday life? In essence, these reality hiccups act like little doorways, briefly opening our eyes to the possibility that we are dancing among many parallel paths, and that sometimes, with the right alignment of awareness and intention, we can choose which path to follow. In a world teeming with possibilities, it's easy to slip into the habit of believing that life simply happens to us. Yet the idea of microshifts, those subtle nudges in our daily routines, suggests that we are far more than passive observers in a predetermined script. We are, in fact, active participants in shaping the paths our lives take. Every moment holds the potential to pivot us from one parallel reality to another. Recognizing this not only deepens our sense of wonder, but also heightens our awareness of just how much influence we wield over our own destiny. The key lies in the present moment. When we fix our attention on the now, we step out of the wandering mind that so often revisits old regrets or imagines future worries. In the timeless space of the present, it becomes possible to consciously choose what we think, how we feel, and the actions we decide to take. These three pillars, thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, function like levers that guide us onto one trajectory or another. Rather than flowing along by default, we begin to see every moment as an invitation to create something new, to select which version of reality unfolds next. One powerful way to harness this creative energy is through visualization. By taking a few minutes each day to imagine, with rich sensory detail, the life we wish to lead, we effectively lay down a blueprint for our future self. This goes beyond simple daydreaming. The mind doesn't always distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and actual memories. So when you envision your ideal outcome, complete with the sights, sounds, and emotions that accompany it, you're priming your brain to recognize and act on the opportunities that align with that vision. Over time, these visualizations can become self-fulfilling prophecies, steering you toward the parallel reality most in sync with your aspirations. Consistent habits reinforce these mental blueprints, just as a painter repeatedly dips a brush into paint to build layers of color on canvas. Our daily actions layer upon one another to form the reality we live in. Whether it's adopting a healthier diet, making time for reflective practices like journaling or meditation, or learning new skills that support your goals, each small step reshapes the framework of your day-to-day life. In doing so, you gradually shift the baseline of who you are, nudging your consciousness toward outcomes that resonate with your evolving self-picture. The beauty of this process is that it doesn't demand grand gestures. Tiny, consistent efforts have a compound effect. A few moments of gratitude each morning can reframe your entire day. A half hour spent reading can open your mind to new perspectives, and a short walk can invigorate both body and spirit. Taken together, these actions accumulate, expanding your awareness of what's possible and guiding you closer to the reality you desire. Steering reality through conscious creation is an art, one that asks you to be both mindful and intentional. By noticing micro shifts, grounding yourself in the present, and cultivating daily habits aligned with your greater vision, you step into the role of director in your life's unfolding story. You're no longer a passive passenger, you're at the wheel, shaping your next chapter with every choice you make. Life is, by its very nature, a symphony of constant change, a perpetual dance in which you are never quite the same person you were the day before. This truth can feel both unsettling and liberating, because it reveals an ongoing evolution within you. The beliefs and habits that once defined you may fade away, replaced by new insights, aspirations, and preferences. Understanding that you are always in motion can free you from the pressure of trying to remain stagnant or fit into an outdated idea of who you should be. In embracing change, you step into the flow of endless becoming, acknowledging that every dawn offers a renewed version of yourself. Consider how much you've transformed over the past year. Small shifts in your daily routine, whether trying a new hobby, meeting different people, or gaining fresh perspectives, have all contributed to your current state of being. What you accept as normal now may have seemed impossible before. These seemingly minor adjustments accumulate into significant inner growth, reminding you that transformation is the natural rhythm of existence. You are not the same person you were 1, 5, or 10 years ago, and that's precisely the point. Life invites you to continually refine who you are, adjusting your trajectory as you gain clarity about what truly matters. Yet many people find themselves held back by stories of past regrets, disappointments, or perceived failures. They cling to old narratives, inadvertently keeping themselves in a loop of outdated beliefs. Recognizing the fluidity of memory can help dissolve these limiting stories. Each time you recall a past event, your mind reconstructs it through the lens of your current perspective. This means your past is not a rigid, unchangeable force. It's more like a canvas that gets retouched with new insights each time you revisit it. By understanding this, you free yourself to reinterpret old pains, mistakes, or missed opportunities in a more compassionate, growth-oriented. You gain the power to redefine who you are and, in so doing, reshape your sense of what is possible. This awareness leads to an empowered awareness of how deeply you participate in the creative fabric of reality. Rather than seeing yourself as a mere passenger on a fixed journey, you begin to recognize that every decision, no matter how small, nudges you into a fresh parallel outcome. Each thought you entertain, every emotion you cultivate, and each action you take contributes to the unfolding of a new chapter. This revelation dispels any sense of powerlessness, reminding you that you are not at the mercy of external circumstances. Instead, you are an active participant in a responsive universe, forever in dialogue with the vast field of potentials surrounding you. By flowing with your ongoing evolution, you allow life's natural momentum to work in your favor. You stop fighting inevitable change and start cooperating with it, transforming each challenge into an opportunity for deeper self-discovery. In this state, you realize that your capacity to evolve is infinite. Day by day, decision by decision, you co-create a reality that is in harmony with the person you are becoming. Embrace the constant motion and watch as new possibilities emerge, each one revealing another layer of your ever-unfolding potential. So, have you ever experienced any of these signs? Maybe you've noticed small details in your life that feel different, or perhaps you've had a moment where reality just didn't seem to line up the way you remembered. Whether it's objects appearing in unexpected places, strange shifts in memory, or that eerie feeling of déjà vu, these could all be clues that you've shifted into a parallel reality without even realizing it. If any of this resonated with you, drop a comment below and share your experiences. Have you ever found something out of place? Have you had a memory that didn't match what others remembered? Let's start a conversation and see just how many of us have noticed these strange, unexplained shifts. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss new content on exploring the mysteries of reality. Your engagement helps spread this message to more people who might be experiencing these shifts themselves. Thank you for watching, and remember, reality might not be as fixed as we think. Stay curious, stay aware, and I'll see you in the next video.